In today's video, we will be looking at every basic checkmate there is in just 9 minutes. Let's begin.
The double rook checkmate. This type of checkmate involves using one rook to cut off the enemy king and using the other to give check. Thereby, the king cannot come towards the center and will have to go towards the edge of the board. First of all, we must reorganize our pieces. The trick here is to take our rook as far from the opponent king as possible so that it cannot attack our rooks while we give it the check and mate. We play rook a3 and rook b2 in order to take our rooks as far away from the black king as possible, and then we give a check. So what the check does is that since the king is cut off along the third rank, we are giving a check on the fourth rank. He will have to go to the fifth rank, which brings it closer to the edge of the board. King d5 and now rook a5 check, following the same logic. You must remember to always use the rook that is behind. That is, the rook that is not cutting off the king should be used to give the check. In this case, the a3 rook was not cutting off the king, so we used it to give the check. Now after king c6, we cannot play rook b6 check because black can just take our rook. So again we move to the other side of the board with rook h5 and rook g4, and now again we give a check, king f7, and again we move to the other side of the board, rook a6 and rook b5, and now check and mate. The queen checkmate. The queen checkmate involves pushing the black king to the edge of the board and then bringing our own king to help deliver the checkmate. There is a special technique involved in this called the knight check distance. So what we do, we place our queen one knight move away from the black king, and then whenever he moves, we imitate his movement and maintain that one knight check distance and thus forcing him to the corner. We play queen f7, and as you can see, there is one knight distance between the queen and the king. So the king moves and we imitate his movement and maintain the one knight distance. So after that, we continue doing this process, and the moment he touches the corner, we have to be careful. We cannot play queen b3 here and allow stalemate. Instead, we play queen b4, which lets him move to a2 but doesn't let him escape from the edge of the board. So while he plays king a2, king a1, we get our king and deliver the checkmate. The rook checkmate. The rook checkmate involves a strategy very similar to that of the queen checkmate. In this case, we create a box with our rook, which we have to try to make it as small as possible with the help of our king, and then deliver the checkmate. We play rook g1 and rook g3, and now as you can see, we have created a sort of box which the black king cannot escape. Our goal is to shorten this box till black's king has only 2 squares left to move. This is again to avoid stalemate. We bring our king, and the moment we can, we shorten the box. And again we can shorten the box, so we do it and we continue this process. So whenever we can't shorten the box, we bring our king, and whenever we can, we try to shorten the box as much as possible. Again, if he goes king b7, we can safely play rook c5, because now if he plays king b6, we can defend the rook and there's no problem. Again, we continue the process of shortening the box, and now after king a8, we must be careful not to play rook b7, which would be a stalemate, but instead we play king c7, and after king a7, ideally rook a6 would have been checkmate, but the king can take our rook in this case. So what we do is we play a waiting move, and when the king goes to a8, we play rook a6 check and mate. The double bishop mate. In this position, what we have to do is use our bishops and our king to drive the king to the edge of the board and then lure him to one of the corners and deliver the checkmate. We do that by creating a sort of wall with our bishops. By placing them adjacently, we have created this, you can say, cage, which does not allow the black king to come ahead towards the center. So he can wait here while we get our king, and now you can see from the arrows I've drawn that the king has no square to stay on the 5th rank and has to retreat to the 6th rank. So he goes back, and now again we place our bishops adjacently, and again we bring our king so as to push his king further behind. We continue this process of keeping our bishops adjacent to each other. And now as you can see, black is down to his last 6 squares. He moves here and we play king f6, depriving him of his last square to remain on the 7th rank, thereby pushing him to the edge of the board. Now that he's on the edge of the board, we shorten the box a bit more, and now he has his final 2 squares left. After king e8, we must make sure that we don't play bishop e7, which would create a stalemate. Instead, we push him towards the h8 corner by depriving him of the squares that are away from it. We play bishop c7, taking away the d8 square, and once he goes to f8, we play bishop d7, taking away the e8 square. And now when he plays king g8 to escape from h7, we play king g6 and deprive him of that escape route. He'll try to come back king f8 to escape by e7, but now we can play bishop d6 check, which again forces him to g8, and now after bishop e6 check, king h8, bishop e5 checkmate, we win the game. Now for a bonus checkmate, the knight plus bishop checkmate. A note, this checkmate is not very common in practice. It's very unlikely that you'll ever get this in your game, but it's good to know just for the knowledge. So again, the strategy here is to push the king to the edge of the board and lure him to a corner and deliver the mate. But in this case, there's a catch. We have to lure him to the corner which is the same color as our own bishop, so that we can successfully deliver mate. If he goes to the wrong corner, in this case which would be a8 and h1, we can simply push the king back to the right corner and deliver the checkmate. We play bishop b2 and slowly reorganize our pieces so as to push his king further and further away. There's no real process, you just have to make sure that you keep taking away his squares and push him to the edge of the board. Now after king b8, we have successfully managed to take him to the edge of the board. Now we have to take away the a8 square from him so that he is forced to come closer to the h8 corner. We play knight d5 and knight c7, thereby taking away the a8 square from the black king. And now we must take away the b8 square as well. So we play our bishop, a waiting move, and then bishop a7, taking away the b8 square. Waiting moves are very important in these kind of checkmates, so do make sure that you're very familiar with them. After king d8, he's trying to escape through e7, so we stop him by playing knight d5. Now there are two choices. He can either play king e8 or king c8. If he plays king c8, then after knight e7 check, king d8, king d6, king e8, king e6, we have stopped his escape route from f7. Maybe he'll come back to try and escape from c7, but we can play bishop b6 check and send him back to where he belongs. After knight f5, king f8, bishop c7, another waiting move, we can see that his king has no good square. He'll come back maybe, and now after knight g7, king f8, king f6, king g8, king g6, king f8, bishop d6, we repeat the process, and now we should be careful not to play knight h6, which would be a stalemate. Instead we play a waiting move with our bishop. Yes, that's right, another waiting move. King g8, knight h6 check. His only move is king h8, and now bishop f6 is a beautiful checkmate. If instead he decides to play king e8 in this position, then we can play bishop d4. Now I know he can escape from f7, but the point is we play knight f4 and create a small cage around his king so that he can't get any further from that. And now we will use our king to push him towards h8. He plays king e7 and we play king c7. And now when he moves, we continue to push him towards the corner, and now after king f7, king h6, he'll try to escape from g5 square, but we play bishop f6, and now after king h7, bishop g5, which takes away the h6 square as well. And now after king h8, we play knight g6, king h7, knight f8, king h8, bishop f6, checkmate.